Now, we wanted to start off by taking a quick look at the budgets from a high-level perspective. And this first chart here represents the total addressable federal IT market. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are looking at this and saying, but I thought the IT budget was only $82 billion. And you would be correct. See, while the IT budget is $82 billion, there's an additional $6 billion that's included in here for intel agencies. And then don't forget all the investments that are made for RDT&E, C4ISR, and all of that technology that's embedded into weapons systems. So all told, the total federal addressable IT market is $120 to $130 billion. Now, we feel confident in this estimate as it does align with the contract data that we have. So the government does obligate about $500 billion every year on contracts, about $120 billion of which is dedicated to IT.
And that $120 billion obviously comes out of a larger bucket. This pyramid contains the White House requested levels for FY14. Obviously, there's a big gap between overall and discretionary spending, and that's because mandatory funds largely stay the same. If you're going to have spending cuts, they mostly come out of the discretionary budget. The CR funds discretionary funding, discretionary levels at $986.3 billion. That's $19 billion higher than post-sequestration BCA caps. Also, the base DOD budget you see there that's allocated by the CR, I should note, does not include OCO funding in military construction. The shutdown that started on October 1st lasted about 16 days. And as the closure continued, services contractors felt the pinch. Most of the large contractors have revenue targets they need to hit on a quarterly basis, and only so many billable hours exist. So every day the government didn't pay was another day they didn't make any money. Not that we enjoy seeing other companies in pain, but the software and hardware industry was relatively less impacted by the shutdown, because at the end of the day, if an agency needs storage, routers, or cybersecurity licenses, they're still going to buy them. And on a side note, as Tim noted in his sequestration briefing back in March, the debt ceiling debate is really at the heart of sequestration and the reason why we're seeing declining budgets. So until we get our debt under control, flat is the new up.
And in light of the shutdown and the most recent budget battles, we wanted to further illustrate just how disjointed and just how off our budget planning process really has become. So we'd like to share two different takes on budget forecasts. What you see here is a chart depicting OMB's forecast for procurement budgets over the next several years. OMB is predicting 5% annual growth for procurement budgets. So beginning in FY14, the procurement budget request is $99 billion. Looking out into FY18, the procurement budget request is predicted to be $123 billion, and that represents a 25% increase across the 5 years. Now, obviously, OMB isn't going to predict a recession. It behooves them to be as optimistic as possible when we're talking about the outlook of the economy in the future years. The problem with this is that these budget requests, they just are out of touch. They don't factor sequestration in, and I'm sure many of you can agree with me when I say that we've seen budgets be flat, if not decline, over the past couple of years. And to back that statement up, you can see here that DoD spending has in fact dropped significantly over the past 4 years. And in fact, all of our models and all of our forecasts show DoD budgets dropping at least until 2018, if not until 2023. Now, O&M and personnel accounts, they will actually increase over the years, but DoD procurement budgets will decrease continuously. Now, this slide, I do have to say, reflects FY14 budget requests. We unfortunately didn't have time to work in the CR numbers, and we had no real reason to expect that Congress would comply with the post-sequestration BCA caps, so we didn't use those numbers either. So this does reflect the FY14 request. And leveraging a CAGR method, you can see that procurement money is expected to fall below 2023 over the next, but below 2003 levels over the next 9 years. Now, I don't want to raise alarms here. I don't think that this means industry needs to be in a panic, and you'll see why in a couple of slides.
Here we have a breakdown of military base budgets by department. And you can see that Navy is slated to receive the largest base budget in FY14 among the services with about $156 billion. Army took a bit of a hit, dropping from $135 billion last year to $129. Air Force requested about $114 billion. And that defense-wide bucket you see over there, that covers all the other OSD agencies, and they're slated to receive about $97 billion or so in funding.
And we can see that with the exception of the Navy, IT budgets across DoD are actually increasing. So that's great news for us. We have seen agencies become more frugal with each purchase. We have seen agencies become increasingly hungry for best value solutions that help them to achieve mission effectiveness. But we've also seen them recognize that COTS products can deliver what they're looking for more often than not. So as we've stated in past briefings, the IT product community is in a relatively good place right now.